Almighty God, we call upon your wisdom, favor, and blessing as we execute the responsibilities you have bestowed on us today. We seek your guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just, fair, and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Okay, once again, good morning. Yeah, this morning we have our candidates ready, and our first candidate is Vincent Kimosop. Please bring Vincent in. Thank you. Mr. Kimosop, welcome. Please have a seat. Have a seat. That seat can be adjusted upwards. To. Okay. Yeah. My name is Nelson Makanda. I am the chair of this selection panel, and we wish to thank you for showing your interest in the position that we advertised, and to congratulate you for being shortlisted for the same. You do have a pen and a paper there that you can use, and sometimes water becomes helpful just in case you need it. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves to you. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Kimosop.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Kiome. I am the Vice Chair of this selection panel. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you for your interview session.
Thanks, Linda.
Karibu sana.
Appreciate
Yeah, Vincent, how are you?
Salama sana.
Yeah, jina langu ni Andrew Tanui.
Andrew.
Mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi na karibu.
Asante.
Good morning, Vincent. Caroline Kituku, karibu sana.
Good morning, Kimosop.
Good morning, Prof. How are you?
My name is Adam Solo. I'm a member of the selection panel.
Pleasure meeting you, Prof.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Asante sana.
Good morning, Mr. Kimosop.
Good morning, Balozi. How are you?
I'm okay. Karibu sana.
Oh, nice to see you.
Nice to see you also. It's been a long time.
Okay. I plead the fifth.
My name is 𝐊𝐢𝐦𝐮𝐭, as you know,
yes.
And karibu sana. I'm a member of the panel.
Asante, Balozi.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you.
Asante.
I do wish to invite you now, Kimosop, to highlight those significant things about your profile. We have read your CV, certainly, but there are many people who will be watching this who do not know you. So help us to know you and to hear who you are and why you are suitable for this position. Indicate to us whether you are a member of any professional group.
Okay.
You and I belong to one professional group that we share. And then also mention if you have any awards that you have received in the course of life. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning once again. I want to really say a big thanks for the opportunity to appear before this panel. Chair, this is the second time I'm appearing in a similar panel to select officers of the Commission. I am prayerful and hopeful that I will find favor through this panel to be able to serve this country as a member of the IEBC. My name is 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐿𝐦𝐮𝐭𝐚𝐢, 44 years of age. I was born in Baringo County. I went to school in the county, started my school in a public school called Bartaragon, actually Kalel, and then Bartaragon. Then from there, I transitioned to high school, went to the university. For my undergraduate, I went to Moi University. I studied economics. And then for my master's program, I studied at the University of Nairobi. I have a master's in diplomacy and international studies. My professional life in terms of, I began work chair at the Institute of Economic Affairs, which is really a public, a think tank that thinks through public issues to present possible policy alternatives to public policy engagement. Chair the Institute of Economic Affairs, we were able to, I was in the Futures program, where we were using futures methodologies like visioning, strategy, and scenarios building to inform and shape public policy. We started the journey. I just want to cite one thing which may be relevant to this work, whereby we helped the Kabete constituency after the passage of the CDF Act to come and conceptualize its strategic plan. Today, when I see it as a good tool for many constituencies, the foundations we laid there. Their transition chair to Transparent International, where I was in the research program coming up with tools to help shape and fight corruption at Transparency International. I was privileged to grow to the level whereby I was chosen to be an advisor. When the NAC government came into power, they established the GJ program, Governance, Justice, Law and Order Sector Reform Program, and I served as one of the advisors to the reform program. Through that work, Chair, we were able to help public institutions that were really keen on confronting corruption. KCB, KPA, among them. And then from there, Chair, I transitioned to the International Institute for Legislative Affairs, where I was working with Parliament, particularly to solve public problems that required legislative interventions. And Chair, I think with a lot of humility, I'm happy at the Institute of Economic, at the International Institute for Legislative Affairs, some of our groundbreaking work, I just will cite a few. Today, when you see the public, the buses that are painted yellow, I led that advocacy work. We also, I was able to lead the work that led to the establishment of the unclaimed financial assets regime in the country. It is the only one in the African continent. The only other country that has an unclaimed assets regime is the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. And we only have that in the African continent. And leading that process and giving the country a regime that required us to establish a framework for leveraging ICT. And some of the things that we were able to do, Chair, was that from a governance perspective, conceptualizing an institution, working with the colleagues in Treasury, ensuring the institution is well funded. We only served for 2 years, 7 months, but in 2 years, 7 months, we managed to raise 5.6 billion, mobilize this for 5.6 billion. Then we were able to be awarded under Mwongozo as when we were evaluated as we had a score of a board of over 90%. I think as Chair's of the 360 evaluation, we had done so well. I think I had a score of 94. The other thing, we employed Kenyans. We won an award for the most innovative use of ICT in public service. And then from the other things that also did at the IILA was the work around really is fixing the excise regime in terms of taxation to address public health issues. From IILA, I transitioned to the Tax Justice Network Africa, where supporting 3 African countries to fix their tax regimes: Kenya, DRC, Nigeria, and Zambia. I also have had a stint in consulting Just trying to summarize, because I have presented my profile. I've also worked with the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, which is a platform to articulate and promote Article 45 of the Constitution. That work, Chair, has led to the establishment of a model that is now being replicated in the African continent. So if I can just stop there and then highlight, Chair, with your permission, why I feel I would want to make a contribution to the IEBC. And Chair, if you would permit me, because by now there are many things that have been spoken about the commission, what can be done. If I can spend some time to highlight what are the things that I believe we've done, we will be able to secure a good election in 2027 and beyond. When it comes to election in 2002, I was a polling clerk at AIC Visual. We had 3 streams. We had the 3 positions, the civic, parliamentary, and the presidential. And in our stream number 3, because of the interest that I had in elections, of course, by age, I could not be an assistant presiding or even a presiding officer. But we did so well in our stream, Chair, that everything tallied. The number of voters that came in, the ballot papers, all the way to the counting, and we finished everything on time. And I remember I remember the presiding of coming and checking before the finalization, and the assistant presiding officer said, "Yeah, this young man has really helped us," and we're able to replicate that in the 3 streams. And Chair, I want to say something, that when the right thing happens, you don't need a referendum to know when the right things happens. Because I remember by the time we're getting to the 3rd stream, the members of the public could actually clap because they could see that these people are doing the right thing. That was in 2002, 2007. I was an election observer. Then 2013, of course, now in the different organizations, I was a resource person supporting the KNICE program. That's the Kenya National Civic Education Program. That time we had also gone through the referendum, did a lot of civic education in churches, on TV. And of course, in the course of that work, I've interacted with some of the, even including Ambassador. I remember having an intellectual conversation one time with the Prof when during the US election. So I've followed this process in training, being a resource person. In 2013, I was a resource person for different organizations, the media houses, locally and internationally. I remember I was the resident analyst for BBC, looking at it in Swahili, in English, just explaining what is happening. In 2017, I was providing technical support for IRCK, that is the Interreligious Council. I think it's nominated representatives to the panel. You remember, of course, what transpired in 2017, doing training, mapping out how the religious sector could actually speak to the situation that we're in. I would cite an example in the course of this conversation about the power of effective stakeholder engagement that is informed and supported on how it has helped transition and speak to the electoral process. That, of course, in 2022, I have been engaging. I remember working closely with as a resource person for NCCK, doing a presentation in Murang'a County, and one of the county manager actually challenged me, says, "Vincent, with all this work that you're doing and supporting this work, why don't you consider applying it?" And I said, I will make and reflect on it. And Chair, I am before you today. And God willing, if I find favor before you, we will deliver a good election for the country in 2027. So I look forward to an interaction. That's my small introduction, including why I believe. On award, Chair, I have not won an award. My reward is in heaven. I hope one day that will happen. But of course, there are commendations from time to time for excellent service that we have done. I want to say this, Chair, if I just want to say this, my experience in working with institutions, public institutions, locally, Pan-African organizations, all the way to the UN institution, has given me one thing that I'd want to make a case before this panel. The future of Africa is in building good institutions at the national level and at the Pan-African level. I have looked at the IEBC and I have mirrored the work with the UN processes. If you look at the progression in the health space, in the financial space, and in the election space, if we do good work, the work of the IEBC can actually help shape the development and the deepening of the democratic process and its institutions in Africa, and also globally through the association that brings together organizations that EMBs, that's election management bodies. I think the others chair I would share as the conversation goes on.
Thank you very much, Linda.
Mr. Kimuso, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have seen you have an award for Moi University Students Merit Award, which you were given in the year 2005. That is also an award.
Oh, I see. I think maybe my understanding of the award was state commendation, EBS. So I am the prof is here, so I have to be very factual. But yes, if that is includes the awards, then I can be able to.
For state commendation,
yes.
it will come at the right time.
Are we allowed to? We are in the Easter season. Are we allowed to say amen? Now that a proclamation has been made.
Okay, thank you. That was on a lighter note, but just to acknowledge that you have an award and to clarify for purposes of our assessment.
Thanks.
Now, the IEBC requires a diversity of skills among its members.
Yes.
So, in line with that, what unique competencies and experiences do you bring to the table in the event that you are taken up as an IEBC commissioner?
Thanks, Linda. Quite vast skill sets that I bring on board. Let me just start from the onset. The one unique strength that Linda I bring on board is in the area of strategy. I have facilitated a lot of strategic plans for institutions. Just finished one for the institute for ISPAC. Leading them to think strategically and reposition themselves. So, Linda, if I have taken time to look at the IEBC's, I've looked at their reports and I've looked at their strategic plan. And Linda, I think my assessment, IEBC is not a leading organization; it's a following organization. And this is what my qualification, because I celebrate what the Secretariat does. They do a good job. But if you look at their reports, they speak. Is a lot of we've done this, we've met so and so, we've done this, we've done this. That is a language of management. The language of leadership is the why. Why did we do this? What value, what lessons are we learning? And I actually have seen directly, if I can speak to the direct impact that I will have. I have looked at the IEBC strategic plan, and you can see very clearly at the center of the work is the organization. Leadership, there is two ways of looking at a good strategy. There is the management-led and the leadership-led. The management-led is answers the question why. The leadership, management answers the question what. The leadership why. So, for example, if you even look at the commission, its composition, I already see possible recommendations. One recommendation is we need to elevate strategy and policy to all the way to the commission level. At the moment, if you look at the composition, there is no even committee on strategy. There is no committee on policy at the plenary level. So what does that tell you? You find IEBC leading. Just look at even the various reports that have been submitted. The way the institution is engaging is coming from a followership. And so if we append the pyramid, we will have the low as the floor and not the ceiling. That's on the area of strategy. Communication. One thing that I bring on board is my networks, locally and internationally. If I look at it, Linda, at the moment, what the IEBC is dealing with is the issues of public trust. And specifically, what is this that is lacking in the institution is political capital for the institution is wanting. And so I will say the IEBC issue is, if we build political capital for the institution, we will be able to progress the work. And I have some suggestions on how we can build political capital for the organization. So I said strategy, communication, public policy. If you look at the work that I've done in public policy area, I've chaired several public policy engagement. I think the last one was endorsed by the cabinet on the 23rd of 23rd or 3rd October 2023. So the whole chain of how do you develop policy, how do you develop the briefing papers, cabinet memos. So all that. So and when you look at the engagement of the commission at the moment, policy engagement mainly looks at policy internally. But what about speaking to the external environment? Linda, just allow me to say this on this issue of political capital. Our elections, if we are able to fix, the political system at the moment, just connecting the power of building nexus on policy internally and external. Our political system does not facilitate inclusion. We have a political system whereby you have a winner takes it all and a loser loses it all. So Linda, it does not matter even if we do everything properly, if we don't fix the external environment and we do it policy-wise, culture, practices, we will still be where we are at. The other thing that also bring on board is resource mobilization. If you look at the IEBC reports, you will see a lot, IEBC fund has not been operationalized, we were not dispersed money on time. I have worked with I understand the budgeting process, how treasury, that is what helped us to get the UFA in place. So resource mobilization, people and networks, and then the shilling, that can actually get us, like just give a small idea on resource mobilization. The African Development Bank, for example, has 3 kitties that when it's financing its work, and I've written in my CV that we are currently helping more university in terms of to resource mobilize. I have come up with some ideas that if I'm successful, we will be able to sort out strategy, sort out policy, sort out communication, and ensure that in addition to the money allocated by Treasury, we also get more money towards the work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kimosop. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I want to ask Caroline Kituku to also ask you some questions. Carol, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kimosop.
Yes, Carol.
I hear you speak very well about the legal framework, institutional frameworks, and which needs to be done to improve efficiency at the IBC. So let us pick it up from there.
Okay.
Let's go back to the Kriegler report.
Yes.
The Kriegler report made several recommendations on reforms that are needed to strengthen IBC.
Yes.
What are some of these reforms, and should you be successful as a member of the IBC, how would you seek to implement them?
Thanks, Carol. I will not be exhaustive. If you would allow me, I'd just pick of them. One of them was the issue of hiring the commissioners 2 years before time, providing clarity in terms of the operational independence between the commissioners and the role of the secretariat, the issue of ensuring that the commission is well resourced on time, and then the whole work on accountability, effective engagement of our stakeholders, the continuous updating of the policy and legal framework. So it's quite a comprehensive report. So I'll just pick 2 things on recommending. Of course, you've seen we are time bad in terms of getting commissioners. There are already today constituencies and counties that are behind. So there are things that are outside the remit of the commission. So for me, that is I would maybe proactively engaging the parliament. For example, Carol, KEPSA has what you call the speakers roundtable. So if we could, for example, as a commission, be having consistent roundtable with the policy making, that is Senate and National Assembly, so that if there are legislations that we need on time, that for me would be I would point out. On the issue of separating the roles, clarity in terms of the role of the Secretariat and the Commission. Carol, since I'm a governance practitioner, at the board level, you wear 3 hats. You wear the hat of a governor, that is the governance mandate. You wear the hat of a volunteer, and also the role of an advisory. So ensuring, for example, our board charters clearly spells out the mandates, clarity, how we make decisions. On the issue of operational efficiency, I would recommend 2 things within the commission. Establishing a directorate of policy, strategy, and research, because when you research, you generate evidence that ensures that you're able to engage and on time. If you have a policy docket, then you're able to speak to the processes. And then on strategy, I would be able to say that. So that is on the operational independence. On resource mobilization, I think when I was answering that's Linda's question. So those are some of the things. On stakeholder engagement, I would be able to say have the policies that guides your work on stakeholder engagement.
Someone will have a conversation with you on that. So
Yes.
let's come back and focus on the legal framework,
Yes.
and the institutional framework,
Yes.
that was recommended by Craig Graham,
Yes.
Justice Craig Graham. So the independence of the electoral body was one of those things that the Craig Graham report speaks about.
Yes.
What, in your view, are those legal safeguards that exist that grants IBC its independence?
Of course, IEBC is established by law. We have the Act. We have the law that outlines how elections are to be conducted under the Elections Act. We have the campaign financing framework. We have the laws that all the way to even the PFM, because we are supposed to account for the public resources that we get. I would say, Carol, that I would enhancing and developing regulations and developing board charters that ensures, for example, as I said, for example, when we are wearing the governance hat as a commissioner, that that is done in a well constituted board. It's called the commission, the plenary. An agenda is well set out. So that our decisions, somebody can see processes. So, and also building the capacity of the commissioners to be able to know when is it that they are doing their work as advisory.
Mr. Kimosop, let's focus on the legal safeguards. What has the law done to ensure the independence of the IBC?
As I said, for example, Carol, that the IEBC Act, for example,
yes, the legal framework establishing the IBC, that one is clear. Any other mechanisms that exist in law?
Yes. For example, under the Elections Act, Carol, it has outlined how an election is to be conducted. Under the Election Offences Act, it has outlined clearly what are the elections offences that if anyone incurs, either the commissioners, the staff members, or even the players, that has given, I need to check if it's the Elections Act or the one that provides that anyone who runs for opposition must sign the code of conduct, together with the one that even political parties, how, for example, the role of the commission in sorting out if there are differences. So the law has clearly stipulated how the elections be conducted, referenda. So that's how I would look at that, Carol.
All right, thank you. Dispute resolution.
Yes.
IBC has the mandate on dispute resolution.
Yes.
So which starts and ends at a particular stage and ends at a particular stage. So let's look post the declaration of results.
Yes.
Which means that the judiciary takes over any dispute that arises therein. So now the Supreme Court in 2022 made certain recommendations on the timelines for resolving the presidential petition at the Supreme Court. Are you aware of this recommendation by the Supreme Court?
I would not say in its entirety, but I allow me just to
Let me
I
guide
think,
you. Let me
yes,
guide you. What is the time frame for the resolution of the presidential petition?
14 days. The Supreme Court made a recommendation that if it can be added to 30 days.
What is the rationale behind that?
The timeline, the restrictive. I remember if you listen to the Justice Maraga when he was making the declaration. Sorry, when they came to announce their verdict, I remember his words that it was humanly impossible to go through the voluminous report, but we have a determination. And I think that was the same case in 2013 and also in 2017. I am not sure about 2022, but the recommendation has been, even in the different reports, that these 14 days are not enough. Increase them to 30 days.
All right. So what has made it difficult for that recommendation to be implemented?
We need to amend the constitution. The section on the process of determining and what we call this on the election of a president, all the way to petitions, it's very clearly stipulated in the constitution. And of course, if my small experience in law is that the constitution is the supreme law, we have to go back to amending the constitution.
Thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate, Carol.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Madam 𝐊𝐢𝐦𝐮𝐭𝐚𝐢 to also ask some questions. 𝐊𝐿𝐦𝐮𝐭𝐚𝐢, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Kimusop,
yes,
I must first say to members of the panel and those watching you that I know you, but everyone else, as you have seen, who has been working in the area of elections, democracy, governance, is either known to me or I know them through interaction or training.
Yes.
So I just wanted to bring that out.
Thanks.
So that it may not disadvantage you.
Appreciate it.
So I want to come back to an area that you mentioned, that you wanted certain things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
One of them was to build political capital for IEBC.
Yes.
The question I want to ask you, you can put them together. And I would like you to tell us about two things you mentioned. One, building political capital.
Yes.
Two, enhancing inclusion to avoid this winner takes all business. So what electoral system should Kenya embrace to ensure this inclusion you are talking about? And how do we embrace it? Do we need to, you state the steps that we need to do, whether we need to change the law to have a different electoral system, whether we need to change the constitution, or whether we can actually incrementally, using the current existing legal framework and using the current regulations, to incrementally enhance inclusion, administratively and otherwise, as we try to enhance democracy in Kenya.
Balozi, thanks. And maybe just to cite that even when the presidential results were being declared, we were co-panelists at Citizen speaking to the nation at that time. And I'd want to say this, Balozi, when you have a system whereby you see the mobilization of voting in a country unfortunately, we are still doing it from an ethnic perspective. And I think since I'm speaking to professionals, there are things I can comfortably say among you, who are professionals. So then when you adopt the presidential system, and credit, for example, to the BBI report, if you remove the politics, they actually point out clearly that Kenyans are looking for home-based suggestion. Like, we need to move from a nation of, if I remember the term, from to a nation of ideals. And this political system of a winner takes it all and a loser loses it all. I just want, if you could allow me, Ambassador, for me, I think when we went to the referendum in 2010 and changed the constitution, one of the things I wish we preserved was that position of the premier and the two deputies. I can tell you as an economist, and I have printed the economic, how we performed as the economic. In 2011, we had one of the highest economic growth rates. So you can imagine, hence the government was more than 49, I think 42 ministers. When you have political stability, you can talk economics. So for me, I would say that I think we need to broaden the executive, amend the constitution, reintroduce that prime minister position together with deputies as recommended both in BBI report and in the NADCO report. I would also say we need to dignify the opposition. Our political system, Ambassador, once you're branded the opposition, there is just something, everybody wants to feel included. I remember watching a program, Ambassador, on Al Jazeera, and there's a gentleman who said about the war in Middle East. He says when the people feel included in government and that their voice will be heard, then they don't need to take up arms to make the case. So for me, I would want to say that dignify the opposition. So if it is introducing the official opposition, facilitate them, let them make a contribution. We need to grow, Ambassador, to appreciating that everybody needs to be onboarded in building and taking the country forward. So if I think, of course, for those two proposals, Ambassador, we may require to amend the constitution. And at the moment, Ambassador, on how to go ahead, if I would make, because this is also part of the preparation for 2027, I would actually say, I was worried, Ambassador, the other day when we lost the former chair, and there was a section of the country that that did not, you could see that, good riddance. And that, for me, we need to go beyond that pain. What do we need to do, Ambassador? I think we should have the courage to do another Bombers 2, where we speak one to another as a country. And we have the elements, we can use some of the issues. You remember the Okoa Kenya push, Punguza Mzigo, BBI report. Now, those are elements that we can use, and we can make the changes that we require. Ambassador, allow me to say this. If you look at where we are at today, 2025, and you look at 2005, there are some parallels, Ambassador, now that actually can get you worried. So for me, we need to get the energies of the country directed towards rather the confrontational election in 2027, but an election around issues. The other thing, Ambassador, is that the laws are already there. There is a place for progressive realization and implementation, so that persons with disabilities, youth, working with women, ensuring political parties list, all that actually. So I would go for a combined approach so that we can build this nation together, as the national anthem says.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimosop, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Ambassador.
Thank
I appreciate
you, Chair.
Thank you, Cookie. I want to invite FCPA to ask some questions, please.
Bwana Kimosop.
Yeah, yes, Mwasibu.
Which county do you come from? Is it Baringo or Elgeyo Marakwet?
Both. I have relatives across. I was born in one.
No, but where were you born?
Baringo County.
So for purposes of this exercise, because we are also looking at regional representation.
Yes.
So which county should you belong?
Place Baringo.
You'll place Baringo.
Yes. It's where I took my ID. You know the.
And you are also born there.
Yes.
So how did Elgeyo Marakwet come in?
No, sorry. It's where I was born, and I took my ID in Elgeyo Marakwet. It's a long story, sir. I would want to just stop it at that.
Yeah, you know, when we were looking at regional representation.
Yes.
So that is a factor that we are considering.
Thanks, Chair.
So it's unfortunate we are realizing that now, but that is it. Huh? Now you've told us you are a governance expert.
Yes.
I didn't hear you mention that you are a board member at UFA. Did you mention?
I said I was the founding chair. I established the institution. I pointed out the journey when I was doing my introduction.
Yeah, why I'm bringing that is you will be moving to, if you get it,
yes,
to IEBC.
Yes.
From a governance point of view, in terms of the structure of a state corporation like UVA.
Yes.
You are moving to a commission like IEBC.
Yes.
You will be finding your fellow commissioners full-time, secretariat full-time. So what approach will you take, if considered, to ensure that you still deliver on the mandate, but at the same time ensure that there is efficiency, effectiveness, without dipping your fingers into the operations of the commission.
Thanks. You remember when I was submitting about the three hats that when you are at a governance level, you wear the governance hat, the hat for HAT, the advisory, and the volunteer. So one is that ensure that our board charters, our governance tools spells out clearly how do we go about when we are doing the governance. So for example, at the governance FCPA Tanui is that we exercise it in a properly constituted plenary, an agenda has been circulated, board papers well done, and all that. When we are doing advisory, advisory, when you're providing advisory, like for example, if I make it, for example, let me just go case study, and we need to operationalize the policy, the research and strategy directorate as I recommended. From my experience in research, from my experience in building organizations, from my experience in doing policy work, one is that, of course, there is a tendency whereby the staff could be coming to seek consult. What is binding to the staff, and in terms of directional and final, is not what is done when you're doing advisory work or volunteer space. It is things that we have decided properly in a well-constituted board. So we need to build the capacity of the commissioners to understand, because at times people stray, not knowing that management is to execute, we do the policy work. So I think for me, spell it out in policy, build the capacity, both of the board members and also, of the, I use this term, board, council, and commissioners, because it's at the governance level, build their capacity. The other thing also is, please get us a good chair. I don't know, it may not be in your full control. The tone is set from the chair. The glue that holds a good institution is the relationship between the chair and the CEO, so that at times if you have commissioners, FCB, who are interfering, I think the CEO should have the confidence that there are things, if they share with the chair, that this is where they're crossing their boundaries. Declaring disclosure of your interest of when there is an issue that has an interest. So build capacity, spell it out in policies, good leadership. So if we combine those three, FCPA Tanui, we will be able to get, of course, there will be political interference. This is the reality of being in that space. But with leadership, policies, fidelity to the rule of law and the constitution, we will be able to push it through.
Now, will IBC commissioners be offering advisory role?
You see, for example, I was given the example about if we were to establish the, I said like if when you're conceptualizing a research problem by the department, they want to conduct a research in certain areas. And in the subcommittees, when they are discussing and they are presenting, I think there are commissioners who would be able to look at it this way, look at it. These are the options to consider. That, for me, I would put it at the level of advisory, not elevate such kind of engagement to the level of plenary, where you have a resolution. So I was just dividing the responsibilities so that there is clarity in their engagement. I'm not looking at advisory the way, for example, SRC does advisory to counties. That is not, it's not in the same level that I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, and I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate FCP.
Thank you. I want to ask Misati. Misati, please. Can you ask some questions?
Yes.
Article 88 talks about the role of IEBC.
Yes.
In regulating the process of how the political parties.
Yes.
I want to repeat, you have interacted with IEBC processes, and in Article 88, D, IEBC regulates the process of how the political parties clear their candidates.
Yes.
So in the code of conduct, if you are made a commissioner, how will you ensure that the code of conduct protects women from violence and intimidation during the political parties' nominations?
First of all, thanks, Honorable Misati, for that question. One is that ensure, for example, all political parties sign the code of conduct, and the way it's developed, they have their input. It is the requirement that public participation in the development of the policy. So there is ownership in that process. So one, ensure all of them sign the code of conduct. Two, sensitization and people to be aware about the provisions of the same. And then thirdly, Misati, I think it is good also to work with the other stakeholders. For example, the IEBC, when it comes to the issues of violence, that becomes a security issue. So this capacity building need not only to be done for the political parties, but also the stakeholders who are critical. For example, the police, IPOA, and all the organizations that are working towards enhancing inclusion. Honorable Misati, when we were doing the 𝐊𝐢𝐦𝐮𝐭 program, we had the model of theming the work. So, for example, ensure we have a committee or an engagement that ensures that the report is that comes and reviewed. If there are policies to be done, if there are updates to be made, all the way to the media, because at times some of the things that happens in engagement, when people know that they are going to be exposed, so that is how I would go about it in ensuring that that is adhered to. The other thing that I also recommend, Honorable Misati, is that there is power in soft power. I remember when we were doing the bribery index, where we used to benchmark organizations in their progress. If we work with the registrar of political parties to come up with a political parties index, and one of the score is include an index in inclusion of women, persons with disabilities, the marginalized, progressively, and we give that weight. So those are the multi-pronged approach, Honorable Misati, that I recommend.
What would be the sanctions that IEBC can put for those people who breach the code of conduct?
I think if people breach the code of conduct, it includes not clearing some of these political these candidates who have actually presented themselves. And I think I remember looking at the one of the reports. There's some candidates who have not been disallowed to progress, to be cleared. And Honorable Misati, one of the ways when people, one of the most powerful sanctions is actually deterring people from occupying public office. That is, of course, the level of clearance. If the IEBC, the interesting thing, Honorable Misati, if you've worked with politicians, some of the most astute people in understanding their interests are actually the political players. And when they know that I don't know, Swahili is allowed to, there is a way at times when
yes,
you
speak, you're allowed to express.
I'm allowed to express myself.
Yes.
Wanasiasa ni wanajua, wakijua kwamba hii haikubaliwi na ukijaribu. So for me, I will combine both soft tools and hard tools. And then finally, Honorable Misati, I would want to use that terminology, is that there is also the issue of culture that we have to confront. At times, violence and bad behavior is rewarded in the political process. Because the way I have participated in crafting political strategies, you have to lionize your candidate. So how do we also address and confront our cultures? Let me give you an example. It's not a good example, but it will depict the problem. You see the way when you are in a political rally and then people are speaking, the way our women are accepted politically, they have to be dressed, they have to put on a full dress, you understand the culture. And I have seen situations in political processes whereby some people induce some young men and then come close to the woman, pull the dress, and once you touch the dress of a lady, everything else is forgotten. And so we have to confront all the way to our cultures so that we reward the right things, Honorable Misati.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Asante.
I want to request Fatuma to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Kimosop.
Yes, Ms. Fatuma.
And in citizen participation,
yes,
what are the key principles that underpin effective participation in the electoral processes?
One is give people information on time. This I serve as the economic advisor in my county, and the CIDP process has recommended principles of public participation. Give people information on time, not only information on time in ways that they can be able to assimilate and be able to understand. Ensure that persons with disabilities, marginalized women are also, this information reaches them, and also the relevance of the data. At times you can give people information, but it's not relevant to the engagement. The other thing that also, just give a small example about how these principles, there's some work we were doing, and I remember Wajir Radio, community radio. The people would say this radio works with us as nomads because of the appropriateness, the timeliness, and also at times the people who give this information. Honorable Fatuma.
And there's quite a bit more.
On,
apart from, you've mentioned inclusivity,
the inclusion, the issue of appropriateness, the timeliness.
Yes. What else? Which is very specific, or rather important for the electoral process.
Of the electoral process, I will need to check. I will need to check the others. Those are the ones that clearly come out of my mind at the moment.
Okay. Openness and transparency
yes.
is equivalently
yes.
key. Thank you very much, Kilo.
I appreciate, and I also want to thanks for this.
Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to request Nicodemus to ask some questions, please.
Thank you very much, Chair Kimosop.
Yes, Banabore.
Now, what is the role of personal integrity in inspiring public confidence in an institution like the IEBC?
John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And Bore, where there is leadership, things happen. And I just want the Constitution, chapter 15 sets out the independent offices. I remember we did some work with LSK while serving as a secretary of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, and we were reflecting on 10 years of constitutional implementation. And the chapter 15 institutions were meant to protect the institution. I remember one of the commissioners who was in the COE said, it is not only enough to have independent institutions, it's also good to have independent people in these institutions. So it's good to provide for independent institutions in law and in the constitution, but also the quality of people who serve in those institutions are very critical. And if you're, I think the chapter 6, Bore, the provision on leadership says that a public officer should conduct themselves in public and in private in a way that brings honor and dignity to the office. So integrity is very important because I think it's Warren Buffett who says, even if somebody is competent to do a job, if they don't have integrity, don't even progress the conversation. So, like, for example, at the moment with the IEBC, with the issue of public trust, one thing that has to be critical is that the people who serve in the institution and who are recommended, the members of the public have to see that hawa ni watu tunaweza waamini. And if you've been in the political space, Bore, the members of the public know hule atachunga mali yetu. I think I remember it's Safaricom that changed some of their values at some point when a member of the public told one of the leaders, mimi naweka pesa yangu Safaricom kwa sababu najua wewe utachunga. that was enough feedback to say, if we take care of the people, they will take care of our business.
Thank you very much and all the best.
Thanks, Bori. Appreciate it.
Invite Professor to ask you some question. Prof, please.
Thank you, Chair. Vincent.
Yes, Prof.
I've seen you are a leader. You incepted UFA.
Yes, and many others, sir.
And many others.
Yes.
Now that you seek to be in IEBC.
Yes.
Under which legal provisions are commissioners expected to guide institutional direction and resource management? And why is this important?
I think the constitution on this, I cannot spell out the exact provision. The one that the section that establishes the IEBC, that spells out the roles and the functions of the IEBC. That, of course, expressly implies that the IEBC, as it does its strategy, policy, and oversight in executing those provisions. On the provisions on the Elections Act, on how to conduct the elections, issues of referenda, all that, how to report, that is...
What about on leadership generally, without restricting
the leadership also on the leadership on the Integrity Act is the one that comes to bear. The public officers, the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. So those would be, including, of course, in addition to the charters and the policies that are established in the institution.
My last question on this segment, with that wide leadership stewardship that you have had in different organizations, sectors, both private and public.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about a situation
in
which you had to lead others to deliver on a difficult mandate? What approach did you use to provide direction, and how did you ensure alignment to the law and the Constitution?
Prof, I subscribe to the serving leadership model, the one of appending the pyramid, raising the standards, the bar, support. So that for me is the model that I subscribe to. Chair, I have, Chair, can I address Chair, the Prof directly? I can address Prof. When we were setting up the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, we had so many challenges. One, of course, the financial sector was not for it, so we needed to surmount the headwinds coming from the financial sector because it was taking away money. The other thing is that when we came to the implementation, compliance, and all that, that was external. But I had a very one case, Prof, that I would want to highlight that may actually be relevant to the IEBC. I had a difficult board member. You know, we meet in the meeting, then thereafter writes again, shares the information, writes to the stakeholders. We had two particular incidences, and the board members, that I remember one of the board members one time telling Vincent, "You're too kind, why are you not firm?" And I remember, you know, we are doing interviews. You see the way you're doing interviews here. You have shortlisted candidates. You have then calls those candidates after the interviews, asks for resources. I remember, Prof, I was called as a result of that to two incidences. I had to appear before a parliamentary committee because the person wrote to Parliament saying we are not doing this. The one that was scary was when I went to those red carpeted offices, which I think if I just leave it at that, you will understand. Chair, I'll tell, just pick it up with what Bora has saying about the place of personal integrity. I've worked in the media, I've worked in government, I've worked in the private sector. When some media houses used to pick the information and in the process, some of them would call me, says, "Vincent, this is a financial institution and we know you. We have had this. Could you give me your perspective?" That was one of the strategies, effective engagement of the stakeholders. Number two is also the issue of understanding how to engage. I had a session, Prof, one time with the then cabinet secretary, and I told Waziri, this is a situation we are dealing with, and if you don't act, my board members have said, we will leave this thing to you. So also knowing when to speak to the right places, to the right people at the right time. And then finally, Prof, just do the right thing. A friend of mine told me, he's a mentor of mine, Vincent, it is always the right time to do the right thing. And the beauty with the truth, Prof, you don't need to remember what I told you yesterday, because there will be alignment and consistency in what you're doing. We managed to overcome that situation. We did not have the boardroom rapture. We steered the organization, and today, Prof, I'm very happy to report the UFA has a quantum of, I think, close to 60 billion because of that track record, setting the laws, leading by example. At times I visit there, Prof, no one knows me, but the joy that you can build something that others will benefit years down the line. And I think if we mirror some of these things in the IEBC, Prof, allow me to say this, because the IEBC, if you look at it very clearly, you see the IEBC in the preamble of the Constitution, you see the IEBC in Chapter 1, through many provisions all the way to the amendment of the Constitution. So it's a very critical institution that requires not only technical ability, but also personal integrity. And Chair, I want to say this, if I was faithful with the money of people at the UFA in billions, I will be faithful with the votes of Kenyans.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, it's not too long since Vincent was in high school. You
Mhm.
might remember some things you want to ask him, some questions.
Be kind to me, Prof.
Sure, Chair. We
Yeah.
usually start with an area in which you are an expert. I mean, you are an impeccable person in policy, right from Institute of Economic Affairs to Institute of Legislative Studies.
Yes.
Every other election year, political parties come up with manifestos.
Yes, and I've drafted some.
Which they translate into working documents.
Yes.
KANU Manifesto, Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965, NAC Manifesto, Economic Recovery Strategy, Jubilee Manifesto, Agenda 4. What's the difference between manifestos and the working documents and Vision 2030?
The one is that there is a lot of correlation. Interestingly, Chair, if you look at, if you with a tooth comb, you actually see parallels of what is in Vision 2030 in many manifestos. So I think the difference is in the language, the authority of the texting. When you are in policy, you are no longer promising. You're now talking about, as in even data comes in. But when you're in manifesto, Prof, you have to promise people heaven. People subscribe to hope. And so that is the, I would say, the in terms of form, you can have, the substance may mirror each other. Like if
Maybe
you
bring the aspects of,
yes.
You see, I've said KANU, I've said NAC,
Yes.
I've said Jubilee, and I could also say 𝐊𝐢𝐦𝐮𝐭𝐚𝐢. Then there is Vision 2030.
Yes, Prof.
I'm trying to see the main difference. You can see all these others are pigeonholed in a particular party and regime.
I see. At times, policies could transcend time. Like, for example, Vision 2030, we are now on the MTP4, which we have one last one coming. So the transcendent dimension of policy, they are across time. As I said about also the language, the broadness of stakeholders involved. But again, Prof, since we are in this political space, I needed to highlight the power of the promise, which you should have in the manifesto, because you need to rally people around your political party.
Very well, my last question.
Yes, Prof.
Kenyan forces have participated in peacekeeping in many parts of the world.
Yeah.
Excluding the East African Community member states.
Yes.
Mention any two countries in Africa where Kenya Defense Forces have successfully undertaken peacekeeping missions.
General Opande, West Africa, was this? This is Sierra Leone, or yes, I remember that mission.
That's one.
Then Namibia. I visited Namibia. We have a wonderful embassy.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Actually, we have even Kenyans there, interestingly. So, but that is on a lighter note.
Thank you, Kimosop. We want to thank you for the time we have shared. We have come to the end of this session. I don't know whether you have any question or comment for us. Briefly, in a minute, kindly. Yes.
In a minute?
Yes.
Thanks, Chair. Mine is to say a big thanks. Appreciate the opportunity, Chair. Wish you the very best. This is a noble exercise. I wish you the very best. I pray that just as you've conducted these interviews during the month of Ramadan, together all the way to Easter, may the men and women who come out of here be products of prayer, integrity, people who will support and get this country on a pathway of healing and a pathway of secure, peaceful, and an election that meets the democratic aspirations of the people of Kenya. Thank you, Chair, and good day.
Thank you and good day. The notebook and the pen are yours. Our friend and colleague will give you your certificates at the door as you exit. Blessings and have a good day. Wish you well. Asante. Okay, we can get the next candidate, please. If